Hey, language lovers, I got a quick puzzle for you today. What do these Chinese expressions have in common? 看看,说说,等等, and Chinese nicknames like 明明,丽丽,强强. If you said they're all doubled up, you're absolutely right. But there's so much more to this Chinese language secret. Stick around because today we are diving into this fascinating world of Chinese reduplication. And trust me, once you learn this pattern, you will hear it everywhere. Welcome back to Flu's Chinese. If you have been learning Chinese for any amount of time, you have probably noticed that Chinese people love to double things up. And it's not just for fun, it completely changes the meaning and feeling of the words. It's actually a fundamental feature of the language called reduplication, or in Chinese, 重叠. Here's what's really cool about reduplication in Chinese. When you double up a verb, you're not just repeating it for emphasis. You're actually completely changing the feeling and the meaning of that action. It makes everything sound more casual, more gentle, and like you are just trying something out rather than making a big commitment. So let's dive into this step by step, starting with understanding what this actually does to the meaning. Let me show you exactly what happens when you double a verb in Chinese. Take the word 看, which means to look. By itself, 看 is very direct and can sound demanding, like look. But when you double it to 看看 becomes much gentler. It means take a look or have a look. This transformation is incredibly important in Chinese culture because directness can sometimes sound rude or demanding. So Chinese speakers use reduplication as a way to be more polite and approachable. Let's look at more examples with the same pattern. The word 想 means to think. 想. If you say 想 by itself, it's very direct. But 想想means to think about it. Much softer, like a gentle suggestion rather than a command. Here's another one. 说means to speak or to say. When doubled to 说becomes have a chat or talk about it. Very casual and friendly. And here's probably the most common one you will hear everywhere. 等 means to wait. 等. But 等等 means wait a moment or hold on. 等等. It sounds more polite than just shouting 等. The beautiful thing is that reduplication allows you to make requests and suggestions without sounding pushy. Instead of 你想, which sounds like you think, pretty demanding, you will say 你想想, which feels more like why don't you think about it? Much better, right? Now that you understand what reduplication does to meaning, let's focus on how to pronounce these correctly. This is where most learners make mistakes, so pay close attention. When you double a verb in Chinese, there is a specific tone pattern. The first syllable keeps its original tone, but the second syllable usually becomes what we call a neutral tone. It becomes shorter and flatter. Let's practice with our examples. 看看. The first 看 is fourth tone, so your voice drops sharply. 看. The second 看 becomes neutral tone. Together, 看看. Notice how the second syllable is much lighter and shorter. 想is third tone, so it dips down and becomes back up. 想. The second one becomes neutral. Together, 想想，想想。说说，说 is first tone, high and flat. 说 the second becomes neutral. Together, 说说，说说。等等，等 is third tone. 等 the second becomes neutral. Together, 等等，等等。This neutral tone pattern is what makes you sound natural rather than you're reading from a textbook. The key is making that the second syllable lighter, shorter, and without a specific tone direction. Now let's practice with some more examples that you will use constantly in daily conversation. I will give you the meaning first, then we will work on the pronunciation. 试试，试试 means give it a try or try it out. You will hear this everywhere when people want you to try food. Try an activity, try anything really. 试 means to try, and when doubled, it becomes this gentle invitation. Let's pronounce it. 试试，试试，试 fourth tone, then the neutral tone. 试试。聊聊，聊聊 means have a chat. 聊 by itself means to chat, but 聊聊 make it sound like a friendly, casual conversation. Let's pronounce it. 聊 second tone, together 聊聊，聊聊。Here's another really useful one. 休息休息 means take a little rest. 休息 means to rest. And when you double it, it suggests taking a brief casual break. This one's a bit different because it's a two-character word being doubled. Let's pronounce it. 休息休息，休息休息。The pattern is always the same. The reduplication makes the action sounds gentler and more casual, and less demanding. Now here's what things get really interesting. And this is something that bridges language and culture in a beautiful way. Chinese people don't just double verbs, they also like to double names to create a nickname. The most common pattern is take someone's given name and doubling it. For example, if someone's name is Ming, which means bright, their nickname becomes Ming Ming. Let's look at more examples. Li, Li becomes Li Li, Li Li. Qiang becomes Qiang Qiang, Qiang Qiang. Now, if someone has a three-character name, they will typically take one of the characters and then double it. So someone named Wang Xiaoming, which is a very common made-up name. Wang Xiaoming might be called Ming Ming, Ming Ming. Or someone called Li Meihua might become Hua Hua, Hua Hua. But here's what really is fascinating for me is that Chinese people also love using these doubling pattern for pet names and cute nicknames. You will constantly hear Mao Mao for cats and Go Go for dogs. Mao Mao, Go Go. They are just a cute way to say cats and dogs. And pet names like Qiu Qiu and Mao Mao are incredibly common because they make everything sound so much cuter. Let's practice the pronunciation for these pet examples. Mao Mao, Mao Mao. The first tone and then neutral. Go Go, Go Go. Third tone and then neutral. 球球，球球。Second tone and then neutral. 毛毛，毛毛。Second tone and then neutral. Now for pronunciation with regular names, generally follow the same pattern as verbs. First syllable keeps its tone. Second becomes neutral. So 明明，丽丽，强强. Keep in mind This can vary by region and speaker, but this pattern will serve you well in most situations. You might be wondering why Chinese people are so fond of this doubling pattern. There are a few reasons that make this really interesting culturally. First, reduplication creates what linguists call the cuteness factor. It makes things sound adorable and enduring. Alright, so let's wrap this up with some practical advice for using what you have learned today. Start incorporating these reduplicated verbs into your daily Chinese conversations. Remember the pattern: 看看, take a look, 想想, think about it, 等等, wait a moment, 说说, have a chat, 试试, give it a try. Use them to make your Chinese sound more polite and natural. Say 你看看, 你看看 instead of 你看。我们聊聊，我们聊聊 instead of 我们聊。And here's a fun challenge for you. If you have Chinese friends, try creating cute nicknames using the pattern we learned today. Take one character from their name and double it. Or ask them what's their childhood nickname was. Okay, have you noticed Chinese people using these patterns before? Or maybe you have heard some cute doubled nicknames? Drop a comment and let me know. 下次见. See you next time.